What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Dime. Today, Kwab and I take a stroll down NBA Twitter to talk about the Knicks, John Morant, and laugh one more time at the Phoenix Suns. And then we play an NBA playoff edition of For Real or Fugazi. At first, if you want to follow The Dime, you can everywhere at The Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab, a.k.a. Kwab. How are you doing on this Wednesday night before Luka returns back home and absolutely torches the Mavericks? And if they don't get torched, I'm gonna feel stupid and probably delete this.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Excited for that game. Excited for the game because, yeah. It's gonna be. Hopefully, he tortures them, but we'll
It's
see.
gonna be a reverse LeBron to Cleveland. Like, I
Yeah.
expect the fans to cheer everything he does. I expect them to be a very pro Lakers crowd. I can't picture them rooting for the Mavericks. That's messed up. Like, it's gonna be a Laker home game.
I don't know. I don't know how long it's been since the trade, and even when we were recapping the game yesterday with the Lakers and the Thunder, and I'm watching the Lakers game. We're watching that game, and I'm like, he's on the Lakers. Like, there's moments like I'm like, why is he on the Lakers?
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make
but
any sense. All right, Quab. Well, you ready to take a stroll down NBA Twitter?
Let's do it.
All right, it's time to take a stroll down NBA Twitter. This is where Quab and I go down the dark alley of social media known as Twitter, NBA Twitter, and take 3 tweets from our timeline, and we like them, we retweet them, we quote tweet them, or we reply to them, or we simply just ignore them, act as if we are on Twitter. We got 3 tweets for you. Quab, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, tweet number 1 comes from Rit Holtzman at Ben Ritz Holtz NBA. Just for the record, because I need to get this off right now. This is one of the smartest Knicks Twitter minds on the app. Someone I respect greatly. Someone who I've interacted with. He doesn't know who I am, but I've interacted with him. Someone who I really, really respect on Knicks Twitter. But he said this after the Celtics game. I'm not saying we solved them or anything crazy, but late game annoyances aside, I don't know how you don't wake up tomorrow feeling like a zillion times better than you did today about that potential series. And that's by far the most important thing that could have come out of this game. Quab, I'm not going to defer to you on this one. I'm going to just go.
Shocker.
Just going to go.
Shocker.
This is insane. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? This is a season in which the Knicks had championship aspirations. This is a season in which the Knicks went all in to beat the Boston Celtics. They specifically designed their team to beat the Boston Celtics. And guess how many times they beat the Celtics this year, Quab? Just guess.
Not one.
No.
Not two.
No.
Not three.
No.
Not four.
No.
No. Just none.
0. They haven't beat the Celtics all year. And in a game at home, when they are resting Jaylen Brown in the second half, when they had Porzingis on a minutes restriction, and they started Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett in overtime, you still lose, despite the fact every single starter that you played, including Jalen Brunson, who just came back from injury tips, over 35 minutes, you still catch an L, and you are optimistic? You were optimistic about this team. There's nothing but good signs going. Are you out of your? This is like a prevailing thought around Knicks Twitter. Like, what is going on? What happened to the city that I knew? To the fan base that was so irrational, yet rational at the same time? This is insane. If the Knicks played the Celtics in second round, if they get past the Pistons or Bucks, it's not going. It might not go 5. What are we talking about? Encouraged that we could, maybe beat them one time in a 7-game series? That's what you're encouraged by? This is crazy. This is insane. Like, absolutely insane. I cannot, and I don't know him, so I'm not going to, add on hominem here because he's a very smart guy. I watched Knicks Film School, which he's a part of. He's, pound for pound, probably one of the smartest, if not the smartest Knicks analyst that I've watched, and I mean that. That's why I'm so shocked that he said this. Like, just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I cannot believe that is the thought process after the Knicks lost again to the Celtics. Haven't beat them once this year.
Okay,
And you're encouraged? That's insane. That's
Okay.
wild.
Okay, so I think part of your frustration, or a main part of your frustration, is because you were very I'll say hot after them losing the game yesterday. Like you're still frustrated about that, which fair enough. Like you said, this team went all in this year for a championship, and like you said, to beat the Celtics, and they haven't been able to get over that hump. By that tweet, I feel like they were kind of inferring to the fact that this was a very winnable game. Like, it came down to if they would have fouled or stopped Jason Tatum hitting that 3-pointer, and I took you guys to overtime. it should have been a Knicks victory. It just if it was trending that way until that happened. So I can kind of not justify history, but I can kind of understand what he was trying to say because this was probably the closest you guys have played the Celtics.
We didn't win.
And you didn't win, but this is kind of like the closest you played the Celtics in every.
But like we
and you
didn't
take-
win. Like
and you
and
take
Jalen
and-
Brown sat the whole second half. Like what
He
are we
did.
doing?
He did it, but I'm saying you take. Not saying it's a moral victory, but even in losses, you try to take something from every loss.
Okay.
And you play ball for years where like a team constantly beats you, but anytime they beat you, like okay, I'm picking up some stuff where that could help me next time. That's probably and this is just me freestyling. Like maybe that's what he looked at it as. So that might be the case. In terms of this tweet, if I saw this tweet, I would look at it and I would ignore it because I'd be like, whatever. Like I don't. When it comes to
because I didn't even tell you what I would do with this tweet because I got so
Yeah.
pissed off the gate. I'd probably quote tweet it and be like, "This is absolutely delusional," something like that.
you do say that, but I would just be like, whatever. It's not because I'm like that's because I'm not a Knicks fan or whatever it is. Like as passionate as you are about the team, it's just the Knicks are they are what they are. The Celtics are just
Yeah, they
better.
are what they are, but like that's not what they were supposed to be going into the season, right? Like this is no disrespect to the Detroit Pistons, but we're not the Detroit Pistons. We're not having a great year for what we could have been.
Hey.
And anything that we do against the Celtics is going to be looked at as a plus. That's not what this team is this year. This team was supposed to get to the Eastern Conference Finals or better. This team was supposed to put up a fight against the Celtics, take them at least 7, probably maybe beat them. Like that's how this team was built. That's what this was for. And the fact that we're out here like, well, like this is a great sign after they didn't beat the Celtics one time all season. And not just the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Clippers. Like, what are we, have you seen?
I get that.
There's I don't even know if this is true, but I can't think of a more Fugazi 50-win team in the history of the league. I can't. Like that. Like, how do you have 50 wins and not beat anybody of significance? Nobody. The Rockets one time.
I'm saying I get that. Everybody, like you said, this was not the plan, but everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And you guys have been constantly been punched in the face by these upper teams. It is what it is. You're just not as good as the Celtics, not as good as the Cavs, not as good as the Thunder. Everybody had high hopes of what this team could be, and it just hasn't come to fruition. There's been problems all season, and that we've talked about after every recap or every shows we've done talking about the Knicks. When it comes to their defense, their defensive play, their inconsistent play on offense, their lack of bench minutes, health. There's been problems all season. Now, I've said this before when we did power rankings. You don't know going into the playoffs, anything can happen. That's always the case. Nobody expected the Pacers to get as far as they did. Whatever, it happens. You don't know what's going to the playoffs, but for what it is, this is the team, and I think. Part of that, you get frustrated. Yes, you should be frustrated, but you can't be getting so frustrated. This is what it is. This is what the team is.
No, I get that's what it is. I just cannot believe that's the take and the general vibe of Knicks Twitter.
Because
not everybody.
Not everybody, but people are trying to have an optimistic mindset when it comes to it because they don't. It's not for them. It's not was it hell or high water? You know what I mean?
I am somebody who is an optimist, but also a realist. Like last year, the Knicks, my vibe was completely different. I loved last year's team, and if you would ask me, could they beat the Celtics, I would have said probably not, but I think they could take them 6, maybe 7, and surprise them if fully healthy. Like if Julius was healthy, if OG was healthy. You know what I mean? I don't think they were better than the Celtics, but I like that team so much, and I was so optimistic with how they played because they can punch the Celtics in the face. They can throw haymakers. This team can't. We've watched it all year. They haven't won a game. They haven't won a game. Not a game against any.
They're just not as good as you want.
I know,
them to
and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But this whole idea of what they were supposed to be, they haven't even reached. And this idea that we should be optimistic against a series against the Celtics is just, I don't know.
I don't know, but don't you think it's just people having people that are having that mindset are having a change mindset in terms of not having, like you said, they're not having the championship or bust mindset. Now they're having the we might do well against this team mindset.
Yeah, and to defend Rit here because I might be putting some words in his mouth. I don't mean to put words in his mouth when I'm saying optimistic. He's just saying you should be feeling better.
Better, yeah.
So for him, for Rit, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't want to make it seem like he's optimistic that they're going to beat the Celtics in a series. Rit probably actually will. I know he will pick the Celtics in a series against the Knicks. I just don't know where the room for feeling better is. You know what I mean? Like,
And
it
to
just
boot,
doesn't
and
make
to
any
boot,
sense
like
to
you
me.
said, you said this before, but
I keep
I
calling
wanna
him
like,
Ritz, like the crackers. I'm sorry, Rit.
yeah, I want to repeat this. You're not
Yeah.
what you're saying is not like a direct like response to like his tweet. It's just the overall sentiment
Vibe.
and feeling of
Yeah.
like when you Knicks fans and the whole team, like how people are like, oh, you're optimistic now, but because when you watch that game, you're just like, fuck again, we lost again, we're losing again, we can't beat these top teams again. So it's like you when you read that tweet, it's like you're not optimistic about it. So it's not just to reiterate, it's not you going at that tweet or at that person. Like you said, he's one of the best Knicks fans and voices on the app. So put that back out there. But it's just that's how you feel. It is what it is.
I also want to tweet number 2 before I get too upset and end the show. It comes from Alan at Alan Schow, SCHOW, and he says, Ja Morant seriously has to be the prime example of a dude who just doesn't get it. He could have been a face of the league and has thrown it away because he's obsessed with guns and now grenades.
Grenades, baby.
Kwab, I'll let you go first. What do you think of this? Quote, tweet, retweet, like, reply.
I I wouldn't like that. I think that's I understand what you're saying by your point because Ja was trending as being the face of the league like before the suspensions and the gun incidents, and like I remember he had his shoe was coming out. Memphis was touted as like everybody's favorite team, with like the young brash team everybody loved, and he was the head of the snake. And out of that draft class, he was like the consistently like playing most exciting player to come out of it. Funny enough, it was supposed to be Zion, and we've seen how that's trended. But with the whole, I think the whole maybe, and this is just me, like even the celebration thing, I think it's gotten so overblown. I understand why he got suspended. I'm not saying I don't understand why. I understand why he got. He got fined because the league basically were like, hey, don't do this. And then the very next game, he did it multiple times. Now on the other side, it's like everybody does the gun celebration, like even this on the same day. Like you had Pods doing it, LeBron does it, like everybody does does a version of it. Like there's more egregious ones that people like. I've seen Dicey Daniels like hit a three, turn to his old team, and like let off like a fucking AK-47. What it looked like, and everybody, and it's like I get that, but it's just when you have the spotlight on you for a specific reason, it's like you have to kind of. It sucks, but you have to kind of be careful how you move now. Now it feels like he's just trolling the league because they're like, hey, stop the gun celebration. He's like, cool, no more gun celebration. Here's a grenade, which I saw it. I laughed. I get it. I mean, like I laughed. I was like, yo, there's something like you're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous for that. I don't know if the league is gonna respond to that because it's like, what can you say now? You're like, okay, man, no more grenades. Like what? And then he's like, cool. Now he's gonna do what, a bazooka? Like what is it gonna stop? He's gonna act like he's in a tank. I get it. It's all ridiculous. My whole thing was like, if you're gonna fine him for the gun celebration, then you gotta kind of you gotta address it across the board that nobody else can have a gun celebration.
I think
You
that's
can't.
fair. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, you can't be like, yo, you specifically can't do it, and you're getting fined like 75,000, like, but everybody else does it like the same day, like day after people are doing it. I get that, but at the same time, I understand what people are saying. We're like, well, he did get suspended for flashing the actual guns, and it's kind of like that reputation has been kind of following him. So whenever he does that, it brings some more spotlight, and that's why the league want to address it. So my whole thing has been like, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Like, I get it. But when I saw him do the grenade, I was like, I laughed. I think it's ridiculous. I laughed at it. But I think if the issue is like, yeah, he's hurting his image, he needs to be smart about it because, yes, he was supposed to be one of the faces of the league moving forward. And if it keeps going like this, it might continue to hurt him.
Yeah, so this is a weird thing for me because I would either scroll past this or I would like it because I do agree with the message, but I do think there's more nuance and I do think there's more context. And I think you just provided the context there where it's like everybody does it, right? Like
Yeah.
this is something that like he's not the only one who does a gun celebration. And also like the NBA treats this dude like he's like a domestic abuser who like, did all this.
If they did, they wouldn't do anything, and we already know this. If they
Yeah,
did,
so like there are people who are playing in this league who have committed worse crimes or have done worse things than Ja Morant has done. Ja has been very irresponsible, especially with weapons and mixing that with being the face of the Grizzlies and possibly the face of the league. Like you should know better, and that's where I like this tweet because it's like, yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair, and it's a double standard, 100%. But you have to know better, right? Like you have to know. Okay, listen, I am the face of the Grizzlies, potentially could be one of the faces of the league going forward, and I have this reputation attached to me, and it's not fair, and it's not right. But they are actions, they are consequences for my actions, right? Like it's not like it happened out of nowhere. It's not like he didn't do some of the things that got him reprimanded. Maybe you can argue that like maybe the NBA has come down too harsh on him and people are overreacting to his actions. That's fair. But the fact is that perception is reality. And you have to be aware of that, especially if you're a leader. You have to be aware how people perceive you. You have to be aware how your teammates perceive you. And you have to be aware of your actions being a distraction to your team. Throwing a grenade into the stands, although it's funny, and if someone else, 98, 99% of the players who could do this in the league, and we would find it funny, but Ja has to know better because he has to know his perception. He has to know that when he goes to the locker room, they're going to be asking questions about it. He has to know that the organization is going to watch him do that and question, like, I don't know if we can build a team around this guy and his character. Fair or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just have to be, and we all have that, right? People watching right now, there's a perception about you that's not fair to you. We all have that, but we all know we kind of have to work around that. Unfortunately, because life's not fair, and that's just how it is. And I think this is Ja's, and it does worry me. I wouldn't say worry me. It is kind of alarming that he doesn't have that self-awareness. I think he lacks self-awareness because you have to have self-awareness, enough self-awareness to be like, all right, this is my perception. This is what people think of me. I want to be a leader. I want to lead this team to the playoffs, championship, whatever. I want this organization to count on me, and I don't want to be a distraction going forward. This should be about basketball. You can't be doing things like that. You just can't.
Yeah. I wanted to jump in before when you made a statement, but you said that there are people that have committed worse crimes that have that's kind of overlooked and they're able to play without any not dealing with kind of like the scrutiny that he deals with. He hasn't committed a crime.
Right. Well, yes.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
I didn't mean he did commit a crime.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the one thing that's always been like my whole thing. Like he never committed a crime, but him with the flash, the whole going live and doing all that when he's supposed to be the face of the team, face of the league, it's like it comes to like the whole topic of NBA is a business at the end of the day, and if you're hurting the perception of the business, they're gonna try to rectify that. And as big as a name as he is, as many as like marketing dollars that they want to put behind him because he is one of the most exciting players in the league, they team like the NBA and even his team might want to take a step back because you're like they don't know if they'll be comfortable doing that.
Yeah, and he has to know that. That's my point.
Yeah, exactly. That, and then to your point, exactly, he has to have some self-awareness and know that. If with him like basically trolling, he's basically trolling the league office by doing that thing. Like, I get the one side again. I get the one side where I'm like, that's funny because it's stupid for you to like, for the action to be a grenade, like to throw in that's ridiculous. But he has to, in terms of like what he wants to be in term like one of the biggest names in the league, he has to like basically watch how he moves because this can't be the talking point when it comes to Ja. It has to be the play on the court, not hey, is he gonna pull out a gun? Is he gonna have a celebration? That's kind of the league's gonna get mad. That can't be the talking point. Like to your point, we're like that can't be what is getting talked about in the locker room by the reporters. They come in the locker room not asking about the game. They're asking about, hey, what about this celebration? it takes away from the team, especially a team that's dealing with firing their coach when they're
They have
about to go
enough
in the playoffs.
distractions right now. Yeah, they have
You
enough of
know what
that.
I'm saying? It's another thing. So yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. I just think the whole thing's like it's getting blown out of proportion. But for it to kind of temper down and calm down, it has to be him. He has to take the step.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing. Like I think
Yeah.
we both agree it's blown out of proportion, but we both agree that he has to be aware of that.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to tweet number 3. It comes from Stevie at Raptor Shack, and he says 29 teams are either in the playoffs to play in or the draft lottery. Phoenix is the only team not included in any of it. I mean, between the Suns and the Sixers, the Suns and Sixers should play a 7-game series at the end.
At least the Sixers are tanking to get like your was a top 6 protected pick. They're trying to get your pick
They're,
still.
they're
So.
gonna get something out of this. They're gonna get something out of this for sure. No, but yeah, I mean the
Wait,
Suns. I mean
who
trading
has-
for
who
Bradley
has the
Beal,
Sixers pick?
Kevin Durant. I mean Kevin Durant has been good. Just right off the bat, Kevin Durant gets a lot of like flack. I feel like, and Bradley Beal kind of does, but a lot of people link this Phoenix Suns team with Kevin Durant unfairly. When Kevin Durant plays, his team's above 500.
Yeah.
So they're a pretty good team when Kevin Durant plays. It's when he doesn't play, they're awful. They are an awful team. They look like they don't care. There's something rotting in that organization. I don't know what it is. There's Devin Booker trade rumors. I don't know how true they are. He has hinted about wanting to play in New York. The Houston Rockets have been linked to him. There's been a couple other deals that I heard. I can't think of off the top of my head. But it just seems like an absolute disaster. They don't really have that great of a supporting cast. They're tied up with Beal's contract. It's just an absolute mess with no end in sight. They have changed coaches so many times. I don't know what happens to Budenholzer after this season. I don't even know I can't even suggest a direction for them to go in, if I'm being honest with you. They're going to have to get rid of some players to get pieces back, and I just think they have to blow the whole thing up and start all over. That's the only thing I can see. And the crazy thing is, it's like you don't have any capital to do that with. So now you're going to have to trade maybe you trade Booker, you get some capital back. You trade Durant, you get some capital back, and then you just start the whole rebuild process again. But this team was 2 games away from winning an NBA Finals, and look at them now. It's sad. It just shows you how quickly the window can close.
Yeah, I think they.
So also, hold on, I would quote tweet this with like laughy face emojis.
Yeah, I would quote tweet it with like the shocked face and like a laughing face because I didn't. When reading that, it kind of put it in perspective. I was like, yeah, they have nothing. Like it's just like, yeah, you could probably like buy a draft pick, all that jazz, but it was like this is not. You talking about Knicks expectations. This wasn't the Suns' expectations. Like they weren't trying to like not be just in limbo of like just going home early. Like this is kind of crazy. But to your point, when KD plays, they play well. I think they just got greedy. How greedy? Just so like just very very greedy with trading for Beal. I think that's where to me it's always been like the problems start, and it has nothing to do with Beal. I just think it has more to do with the fit of the team. Because if you're trying to establish a big 3, I always say they have to fit. The 3 pieces have to fit, and like it has to work. It never looked like it would be a good fit on like paper because to me Beal and Booker play the same position. Now they were talking about, hey, either one of them could play point guard, and it's like I don't think that's the smart move. They try to address that this offseason, adding was it Tyus Jones and Monte Morris. They also changed like their front line, bringing in Nick Richards. But to me, it's always felt like they're either not healthy, and then when they play, they will have certain leads, and their play just kind of falters off as every game goes along. KD has been playing well, but then he gets injured, and then it's like, well, now they look like a mediocre team. Going on from here, like the easiest move for them would have been to trade Beal, but he has a no trade clause. It's him and LeBron James, which is insane to say.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like that's crazy. So it's like you can't do anything. So now you're talking like, yeah, they might trade Booker which I'll be shocked if that happens. It's probably going to be KD if they come to some sort of agreement and
It's
figure
going to
that
be
out.
KD. It's going to be
Yeah.
KD. I
Which
think it
is
might be Booker too, though. It wouldn't surprise me if they blow the whole thing up.
That's crazy. I don't think what's the owner's name, Matt Ishbia, wants to he wants to win now.
Yeah,
Like,
but
that's
there's no
always been
like
his
you.
thing.
There's like I don't know how you do that.
I don't know how you do that too, but like I don't think like his competitiveness will allow them to be like, yeah, we're just gonna tank and restart. Like he's from the get go when he got there, he's pushed them to make these big moves for like winning. That's always been his agenda, and he's always pushed it. Like he was the one I was like, yeah, 24 other teams will trade your whole roster to be who we are. And it's like no we wouldn't, because you're not.
I actually don't even know if there's an organization, even like the Wizards and the
No.
Hornets, because they have draft capital and young talent. Like
They're fine. Like they wouldn't want that. But I was when you were talking about the Sixers earlier, I was trying to figure out like who, because they're tanking because they have a top 6 protected pick, so they're trying to get as low as possible. And I'm like, who has your pick if it's not protected? Fucking OKC.
of course they do. Sam Presti, man.
Sam Presti is a god. They've got that's who the Suns would need to contact if they need some capital, because they have.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. And
Yeah.
Kevin Durant to the Thunder is like storybook, very appealing.
Yeah.
Especially like the Thunder fall short this year, and he goes over there and he puts him over the hump. But that's a long way to go.
That's a long way to go.
Yeah.
That's a long way to go.
That's a
And
long
to
way to
me, we had an episode where we talked about teams that have been disappointing so far, and we had the Mavs in there. We had some other teams, and like it's looking like the Suns right now. Like it's crazy. Like they might have the most disappointing season.
Yeah, they're up there. I think the Sixers probably. The Sixers, the Suns at least started jogging to start the race, and then kind of like pulled a hamstring. Like the Sixers, off the gun, like fell on their face
Fell and
laid
just
there.
kept rolling. Just
they
kept rolling.
didn't even roll. They just went up and just laid there.
I think they didn't even lay there. They rolled off the track, and like there was the hill, and they just kept rolling
They
down
rolled
the
down the
hill.
hill.
And we're just like, and most of us were just standing there like,
Okay.
get up, get up, bro. Come
What's
on,
that Simpsons mean? I don't know the characters' names, but the little kid who rolls down the hill. I forgot his
roll
name.
down the hill. Yeah,
that,
roll.
that was the Suns. That was the Suns. this year. All right, Kwab, you gonna play some Free Fugazi?
Let's do it.
All right, this is Free Fugazi. This is Contenders edition. Now, just gonna be straight up right now. Thunder, Cavs, Celtics are not on this.
Yep.
But these are teams that we can see being dark horse contenders. So that's what this Free Fugazi is about. It's not so much, are they going to win a championship? It's, hey, can they be a dark horse? Can they make some noise? Can they reach their conference finals and give a scare? That's what we're looking for. All right?
Yep.
Let's do this. First team, Free Fugazi, the Los Angeles Clippers. Kwab, what say you?
I want to say for real, but I don't trust the Clippers. That's just how I feel. Like they'll be playing well, like they're in a great run right now. They'll be playing well, and all of a sudden they'll be like one Kawhi Leonard like alley-oop away from like the season is over. Like
It's so wild. It's so sad too because I love Kawhi, man.
Yeah, so I like James Harden, amazing. Zubac playing great. Norman Powell, dope. They even signed Ben Simmons, womp. But it's just like I don't.
Bogey's been a good addition.
Bogey, dope. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's to me. So to me, it's Fugazi.
I'm going to say for real, they have one of the best defenses in the league, and when you have that, you're in every single game. You have two of the best shot creators of our generation in Kawhi and James Harden, so when the game slows down, you can always go to them and run some type of offense. I think Norman Powell and Bogey are two of the best off-the-ball players as well that we have in the league. I think they're very well-rounded. I think they're very well-coached. I think they're good on defense. I think they could sneak up on teams and beat a couple teams, and I've been saying this all year, too. This isn't a new take.
Yep.
This isn't a new take.
You have been saying all year.
I've liked the Clippers all year. I love the Bogey edition. I don't know if I would go as far and say they're going to win the West, but can they win a series? Absolutely. Can they make the Western Conference? Would it surprise me if they make the Western Conference Finals? No, it wouldn't actually. We talk about this all the time when we talk about the West. It's about matchups.
Yep.
You get the right matchups, you get in. Who knows? Because there's not too big of a gap between these Western Conference teams at all. And they went. I think they're the 4 seed right now. Who knows where they end up? We'll see. But I believe in this Clippers team. I think whoever knocks them out, if they get knocked out, it's going to go 6 or 7. And it's going to be tough. All right, Kwab. The Denver Nuggets, for real or Fugazi?
2 days ago, I might have said for real. They just fired your coach. I don't know what's going on, so I'm gonna say Fugazi. They still have the best player in the league, arguably the best player in the league. But with Jamal Murray hurt, all these question marks now with the coaching and everything, I'm actually gonna watch them tonight to see how they look. This is the first game without him alone to see what's gonna look like. But yeah, I might have to go with Fugazi.
Oh, we're going Fugazi. It's over. The organization just told you they don't believe in this team. And if the organization doesn't believe, why should I? What am I gonna do? Like, really, you just quit 3 games before the season starts, the postseason starts? No, you Fugazi. You Fugazi. Like, I don't believe in you. I would have. I would have been like, hey, listen, you never know. If Jamal Murray comes back and gives vintage Jamal Murray performances, you got the best player in the world, and PJ gets hot. You never really know. No.
We actually said that on the power rankings. That was actually like our point.
And that's why they were ranked in front of the Clippers, and now I have Clipper fans pissed off at me in the comments. I hear you, Clipper fans, and I actually agree with you. It's a shame. Let's move on.
It's a shame.
Next team, the New York Knicks. For real or Fugazi? Kwab, stop right there. I got it. Fugazi. Absolutely Fugazi. The most Fugazi. I'm a huge Knicks fan. If you cannot beat a single team, they beat the Rockets one time. They haven't beat the Clippers. They haven't beat the Lakers. They haven't beat the Cavs. They haven't beat the Thunder. They haven't beat the Celtics. They haven't beat the Warriors. Why on earth would I think this team was for real? I don't even think I have to explain myself further than that. This team is. I think you are a 50-win team, and you don't have a single win against those teams I just mentioned. You beat the Rockets one time, and I think the Rockets were missing Fred VanVleet and someone else too. I think Jabari didn't play.
Yeah.
What Fugazi? There is no greater definition of Fugazi. Fugazi.
Oh, okay.
Love you.
Okay, let's go to the next team.
All right, the next team. We got the Indiana Pacers. For real or Fugazi, Kwab?
For real, if their defense shows up. Fugazi, if they revert back to their lack of defense. But they can be really for real just because they're one of the few teams I've seen give teams like the Celtics trouble with your pace and your offense. And like you've said many times, when they play defense, they can lock in. So when your defense shows up, they can be for real.
Yeah, I would say for real, too. I think they are a dark horse to win the East. Not win the – oh, maybe. Who knows? You never know. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. You have the Celtics and the Cavs. I think the Pacers have the third best chance of winning the Eastern Conference. I don't think they get past the Cavs. I'm going to pick the Cavs to beat them in a series, so Cleveland, please calm down. But it wouldn't surprise me. It actually would not surprise me at all if the Pacers beat the Cavs. And then last year, you talk to the Celtics, and they tell you the team that they had the most trouble with was the Indiana Pacers. Yeah. And they're a better team this year. They are playing better defensively. They're another year around each other. It's pretty much the same team, so the continuity is there. I love the way they play offense. They're a really good basketball team. You catch a Cavs team that gets a little, the lights are too bright for us, like they were in New York, that one series, and you catch them, and then you give the Celtics a better series. Who knows what could happen? I think they're for real in that sense. I'm not going to pick them to win the East, but I think they're for real to be a dark horse for sure.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next team, the Houston Rockets. For real or Fugazi? I'm going to say for real. They're the 2 seed, bro. How can we not? How do you dismiss the 2 seed? Even though I just dismissed the Knicks, who are a 3 seed. How do you dismiss the 2 seed, who has actually beaten the better teams in the league? They have a victory against the Thunder. They've beat the Celtics. They have beat good teams throughout the year. They have one of the best defenses in the whole association. A lot of people do knock on the fact that they can't shoot the ball well, but they do have players who can score. It's not like they're offensively inept. Jalen Green can get downhill. He can create for others. Şengün is a baby Jokic. He's somebody who can create for others and can create for himself. Dylan Brooks can spot up and hit the three. Jabari Smith off the bench can hit the three. Fred VanVleet has shown you he can hit the three throughout his career. So they're not offensively challenged. They do have trouble in the half court, which I think is ultimately going to be their undoing. But to sit here and say that a 50-plus win team that is second in the Western Conference and has beaten these teams before can't make noise in the playoffs just because we haven't seen them there, that's foolish. It's foolish. This team is for real. They can go as I think they can small chance they can win the conference. I don't think it's a 0% possibility they can win the conference. I wouldn't pick them, but I think they can.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're for real. I think they go with the same attitude that Ime has in terms of like playing really, really hard defense. They're not scared of anybody, and that's been evident in these big games they've won. Like when they're fully healthy, they feel like they can match up with anybody, play their style of play in terms of physical, aggressive defense. Was it a fast break, like running the court, and then playing through Sengun in the half court. Jalen Green has been playing very consistent. We always rave about Amen Thompson and his growth throughout this year. Even Dylan Brooks has had a solid year. So like they're for real. Again, like we're gonna keep with the one thing we keep saying with the West is the matchups are gonna matter in terms of who they face. Those are always gonna matter, but they've been good all year. They've had like little valleys here and there, but they've still been able to maintain a winning culture throughout the course of the season. So they're for real.
All right, let's move on to a team that I didn't want to put on here, but Kwab insisted. The Detroit Pistons. I'm just going to get out the way. Fugazi, nice team, fun team, young team of the future. Cade's a beast, but come on. Kwab, go.
That's crazy. Look, I feel like the Pistons have a chance of not only winning in the first round matchup, especially if they face the Knicks, a team that Josh has no faith or belief in. Actually, you guys can hit rewind. Like, you can actually hit rewind on this. You can hit pause. You can pause this. If you fast forward, pause this, hit rewind, and go backwards and listen to him talk about the Knicks, right? And then ask yourself, do you think the Pistons can beat a team like the Knicks if they're matched up with them in the first round? Your answer would be yes. Your answer would be yes, because guess what? The Knicks are 1-2 against the Pistons too. That's part of your losing records that they have against all these teams. It includes the Pistons too. So yes, I like the Pistons because the Pistons are one of the best stories in the league, if not the best. You can make the case. Your coach should be in the running for Coach of the Year too, but it's going to be Kenny Atkinson. That's been clear as day. But last year they were on the worst losing streak ever, and now they've been able to clinch themselves in the playoffs. Cade is all-star year. Malik Beasley is shooting the crap out the ball. The way they run their offense is going to be a problem for a team like the Knicks. I've said this. I told Josh this. This was yesterday off air. I was like, if the Knicks play the Pistons, I might have to pick the Pistons, and he called me crazy. Earlier on in the year, when we did the play-in preview, and it was the Knicks Hawks, I was on the fence because I'm like, I might want to pick the Hawks, but I want to give the Knicks the benefit of the doubt because they have.
For the record, we did say it would be a close game and the Hawks would cover whatever the spread was. So let's not act like.
For the record, I said that we actually both said that we can see the Hawks beating the Knicks.
Yes, we did.
But we think the Knicks are the better team.
Yes.
That was the whole point. I can see the Pistons beating a team like the Knicks and other teams, even though these teams have a better record, are the better team, just because of the talent they have and the way they play. And that's just the point I wanted to get off. Just because I'm like, we have to start showing love to teams like.
We can show love to them. I'd love to show love to the Pistons. I'm happy they're in the playoffs. But I don't have to be delusional and think they can beat the Boston Celtics and then the Cavs. Like, come on, bro.
Anything is possible.
All right, if you say so. Listen, if they do, like this is going to make you a lot of money. You're going to be on SportsCenter and
maybe
take off from
we'll
here.
see. Yeah, we
It's
say, yeah,
going
right.
to be the dime with
We,
Josh Rodriguez once again.
we're gonna
Because you're
take
going to
off
have
from
your own
here.
show.
Definitely not. Definitely, this show does not happen with this doesn't happen without you ever. So ever. Let's get that in recorded and writing ever.
I hold
So
Kwab hostage, ladies and
yeah, so that's why I want to talk about. That's why I want to say the Pistons, just because I feel like, yeah, they, like you said, they're a fun young team. Fun young teams are what some of the most dangerous to face in the playoffs because they're just playing with no expectations. They're playing like, hey, if we lose, cool, we got here. If we win, awesome. While the other team is like, we have to win because this is not what we put our team together for. If so, that usually ends up favoring the fun young team. There's a lot of stuff I can say that can make
Okay,
you
we got it. We got it.
sway to the Pistons. So
My
yeah,
only
that's
request is,
yes.
please, for the love of God, lose those alternate jerseys that you wear, the black, red, what? Oh my, God, disgusting.
Black red.
The white and God.
Do you like the teal? Do you like the teal jerseys?
I don't act that's like
You
one
don't
of my
like
jersey hot takes. I don't like the teal Pistons. I
the
don't at all.
the Grand Hill jerseys.
I like
Yeah.
their 80s, 90s classic Detroit Pistons look. That's my favorite Pistons look.
I don't
I don't like the
like
Grand Hill jerseys.
You don't like the Grand. I
don't.
I like I'm not like big on jerseys. I'm more like big on like shorts. When I see like a type of jersey, I'm like, do I like those shorts? I like the teal shorts.
Okay.
I say I like the teal
we talked
shorts.
we talked a lot about the Pistons.
Yes, we did. Go Detroit. What? Detroit. What?
The next team is the Los Angeles Lakers. For real, Fugazi, Kwab, I'll go first. I think they're for real. I think this is one of the easier ones. You have LeBron, you have Luka, you have a chance. I think it's just that simple. We could break down, the fact they don't really have anyone outside of Jackson, Hayes, with height, and they're going to have to go small. They're going to rely on three-point shooting, and you the three the best pick and roll players and players on the basketball, because Austin Reeves as well has turned into a star, not a superstar, but a star, like all-star potential. So I think when you have that at any time, you're in any game in any series, and I really do think it's that simple for real.
Yeah, I agree. For real, you have two of the most dynamic players in the league in LeBron and Luka, and then you throw in AR, who's having a hell of a year because the type of defense he's seeing. He's not seeing the top perimeter defender because that has to go to Luka or that has to go to LeBron, and he's putting in work. Like he's been going crazy. I think somebody said he's at like since the start of the year or a certain point he's at a 50, 40, 90 in terms of his percentages, which is ridiculous. So yeah, they're for real. We all agree like they've looked great. Their defense has looked amazing. Shout out JJ Redick also as a coach. A lot of people had doubts of what he was going to be able to do, and he's been coaching the hell out of this team. And then he gets gifted Luka. So this is they're for real.
All right, and finally, the Golden State Warriors, Farila Fugazi. Same thing I said about the Lakers. You have Steph Curry, you have Jimmy Butler, you got a shot. What was the record? 21-4 since Jimmy Butler came around? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So.
Don't quote me. I think it might be 22-4 now because they did catch a W the other night. But I just want to see more from Jimmy. I think Jimmy has to be some version of Miami Heat. Jimmy, obviously, you're not going to have that because it's a different system. It's a different role. You don't have to carry the burden on your shoulders. But I would like to see Jimmy be more aggressive scoring the basketball. Defensively, I've been really impressed with them since Jimmy's been over. We covered the Lakers-Warriors game in which the Warriors won in Los Angeles, and I thought they played phenomenal defense. So defense is there. You have Steph Curry. You have a chance.
Yeah, we agree. You have Steph. You have a chance. Jimmy, like I say, it's been like the one player that come playoff time he can turn the switch on and becomes like a different monster. It's kind of ridiculous. It's scary. They need consistent contributions from like other players like Pods, Moody, like Kuminga to get where they want to get. Like I keep saying, but also they need Draymond to stay on the floor and just be Draymond without like the extra antics and the craziness during the course of the playoffs because they're gonna need him in terms of his playmaking, his defense, and what he brings to the team. So yeah, they're for real.
All right, that's going to do it for Real Fugazi, and that's going to do it for this episode of The Dime. If you want to follow us, you can follow us everywhere at The Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab, a.k.a. Yes. We just finished right in time before Lakers-Mavs, Kwab. I'm watching Luka cry on the bench right now.
That's crazy.
They just introduced him. They're showing the starting lineups. Oh, no, they're at half court. They're about to do jump ball right now. So we made it in time. We don't know what's going to happen. Don't judge us for our takes.
Go Pistons. Go Pistons. Bad boy for life.
All right. We'll see you next time for an episode of Dime. Peace.